everybody. I believe we're live streaming. It's good to have you here with us tonight. We're looking forward to the class tonight. And I don't know if anybody noticed, but somebody posted after I posted the classes for tonight that they've missed a month, and I didn't realize what they meant until I looked, and I put in there December, and so I had to go back and fix it. I don't know if anybody else saw it, but well, that's how old people do. So that's what I'm gonna chalk that up as. But anyway, we went in there and got it fixed. But it's so good to have everybody with us tonight. Those of you listening by Power Faith Radio, we thank you for coming this way, and also our two Facebook pages, B'nai Noach Fellowship and A Simple Walk. Thank you so much, and you may be watching this as a recording. We still want to thank you for coming this way. Please share those videos with all your social media platform. Give us a thumbs up and ask those questions. You can reach us at, we're sponsored by Outreach Noah. You can find us at Outreach Noah YouTube channel. And just go over to YouTube, hit Outreach Noah, we'll come up, and you can go to outreachnoah.com for the webpage and Outreach Noah at gmail.com. Did I get all that right, Terry?
I think you got all those words together.
Thank you. You
How
don't know
can you
how
say it
hard
backwards?
You don't. No, I don't. I barely can say it forward. So, all right, Terry, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you greet everybody that's in the Zoom room tonight. And I'm going to get ready for our Tzedakah time.
All righty. Good evening, everyone, and greetings again. And glad to see and hear that everybody's here with us in our videos and radio and everything that you've joined us again tonight. We're going to continue on in where we're at. Let's see here where we're at. We're going to pick up second paragraph, page 35 in our Seven Gates of Righteous Knowledge book, and going to see how far we can get along tonight. We're almost to the second gate, the gate of prophecy from God, which is going to be an interesting chapter there for a lot of us. Well, that's where we're at tonight. We're going to begin on page 33 in our book. And so I want to greet everyone. Of course, Scotty, I guess everything's okay in the engine room. No surprises with the engine room tonight. You know, I got this phone call in the middle of work, and I looked down and I seen who it was, and I'm like, oh, man, something's happened. He's called me. There ain't going to be class tonight. That was my thought, but I was in the middle of taking care of some customers, and I couldn't answer.
Yeah, I was trying to call Thomas, and your name and Thomas's name is pretty close in my phone. And before I realized that I'd called you, and I said, "Oh, I'm calling Terry." So,
well, I thought you had engine failure again or something.
Nope.
All righty. And of course, we got Ronald. Yes.
Just me, Scotty, is Facebook streaming? Because I'm not getting the live streams coming up.
I'll go check that real quick while Terry's
going on. YouTube's okay, but Facebook, keep refreshing and it's not bringing up the program.
Okay, I'll check that. Go ahead, Terry. I'm going to mute. Terry, if you can talk for a minute, I'm going to mute and see if I can figure out what's going on.
I got all kinds of books back here. I can talk for a while if you need me to. All righty. Okay, and then Ronald, of course, Ronald's out there helping us take care of the rooms and the videos and things like that in our Facebook groups and YouTube channel. And then Warwick, glad to see you again from New Zealand. And then Chris and Wendell and Veronica, where are you at? You were in Nebraska last week, right?
I was. Okay.
Where you at?
I've lost track of everything here. I just entered Illinois.
Okay.
Over by St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay. Oh,
I know I'm going off track here. I went to that Arch Park where the arches for Missouri or whatever. I was thinking of going up there, and I saw this little contraption that you have to sit in to get up to the arches. No. Claustrophobia, no.
Wouldn't be a good place to be, would it?
You have to spend like 4 minutes in this little capsule. Anyway, sorry. That's where I am.
I probably wouldn't have done it either.
No, I'll post a picture whenever I figure out my stuff here.
There you go. And then Annie, we got to, which is Scotty's better half and all that. Scotty, did you get everything checked out yet? 1 minute, few minutes. Okay. Dun, dun. Wish I had to sing, what is that? Jeopardy, whatever it is, or music we can do on there. But anyhow, hope you have your notepad paper tonight. We are going to be covering some things. And if you have any questions, remember to get those over to Scotty there on the radio. And I forgot, the radio station. We got the Georgia group and then Florida group and the rest of the world, wherever it's broadcasting at. Welcome to our Wednesday night class. Okay. I know Scotty welcomes you, but I decided to go ahead and welcome you too.
So I'll play that music in the background. Dun, 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 dun. I think I got it going, Ronald. You'll have to refresh and see if it's going, but I think I've got him going now. Okay. Terry?
Yes.
Was you through?
I'm done.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna do one more check. While there's the
Noack Fellowship is a Simple Walk is running, so the other one will be too.
Okay, good deal. All right. I'm going to get started on our Tzedakah time. And without any further, you say any further ado?
Something like that.
Without any further tarrying, not Terry, but tarrying. So, okay. We want to appreciate everybody that participated in our Tzedakah time, and we thank you so much. So tonight, as always, we start our Tzedakah off with giving Tzedakah for Terry and I's main teacher, and that's Pesach and Shira Sherbo. I think he's recovering quite well from his open heart surgery, and so we're, of course, they live in Safat, Israel, so anybody living in Israel right now, we want to constantly keep them in our prayers. And then also tonight we got Clifford Hoole. We're giving Tzedakah tonight for Clifford Hoole. We're giving Tzedakah tonight for Danielle Akins, and giving Tzedakah tonight for Robin Wade. Also giving Tzedakah tonight for Wendy Shepard. I don't guess you've heard anything about Wendy, have you, Ronald? No, okay.
No, not at the moment. Sorry.
Okay. And we're giving Tzedakah tonight for Terry's dad, Philip Hayes. Terry, how's your dad doing, if you don't mind me asking?
I got to talk to him a little bit Sunday, and then right before class, my brother called for a few minutes because today is also I don't know how you say. So yeah, today was 23 years since Mom's passing, and Dad's not doing really good. My brother just left his house; he's not doing good. So everything just basically, if you're praying for my dad, just pray for his comfort, because they're not giving him some of his medications for pain. So my brother and them are gonna have to improvise and get him some stuff to help make him comfortable.
Okay, we're going to continue to keep him in our prayers and Tzedakah time. Also, we're giving Tzedakah tonight for Etheline Moore. Etheline went in the hospital today. They thought they were going to have to open her surgery, but ended up they didn't have to do that. So I just heard word just as we started opening the room. So she's going to be coming home tonight. So we're giving Tzedakah for Etheline Moore. Also giving Tzedakah for William Lyons. Excuse me. Also giving Tzedakah tonight for Emuela Asher. She wasn't able to be here tonight. She's Yeoman Asher. And the same person sends in Tzedakah for Thomas Schaus. We're still trying to get Thomas hooked back up on internet. And then also Veronica Port, who is in her submarine. And so Veronica Port is traveling the country doing book tours. I don't know if she's got any books, but she's doing a tour. So giving Tzedakah for her. Also giving Tzedakah for you tonight, Warwick. We keep you in our Tzedakah list here, Warwick Marshall. And also giving Tzedakah tonight for Ronald Digman. Ronald, I believe every time you come in, you do look a little better. Are you feeling pretty good?
I'm feeling very good at the moment. Thank you very much.
All right. Good deal. Also giving Tzedakah, Thanksgiving Tzedakah tonight, that it's not snow on the ground for Mary Parsons. And so we Thanksgiving tzedakah. We really appreciate what Hashem has done for Wendell and Mary Parsons. And Terry, as I go into the blessed memory, tell us your mother's name.
Brenda Hayes.
Brenda Hayes. We're giving blessed memory tzedakah for Brenda Hayes. Also tonight, and I think I can pronounce his name correctly, Elgie L. Tabor. We're giving blessed memory tzedakah for Mr. Tabor tonight, and also Dr. Mitchell Scott Posner. I knew I could get that out. Giving blessed memory tzedakah for them as well tonight. Okay, let's help us pray tonight, would you? Also, we want to remember those in Israel. We want to remember all those there. Hear our voice, Adonai, our God, Father of mercy. Have compassion on us and accept our prayers with compassion and favor. For you are a God who hears prayers and supplications. Our King, do not send us away empty-handed. Favor us and answer us and listen to our prayers. Amen. All right, Terry, I am going to get this pulled back up here and turn it over to you. And somebody's texting me, so I'll see what that is. That's coming
Hey,
from
Scotty, will I be able to do screen share here in just a second?
Yes, thank you, Terry, for mentioning that. Let me fix that for you right here. And yes, you can. And I'm going to go ahead and mute and put you on speaker view, Terry.
All right. Greetings again, and good evening for all of us that it's already dark outside on the night side. I know it might be dark on the morning side where you're at, but it's we're entering into that time, and we're fixing to do that dreaded fallback thing that we've been fighting to wish they would just leave alone. So here as of Monday, it'll be dark when I go to work and dark when I come home. That's the part of the season that none of us, like. And especially with the traffic the way it is today, I mean, these idiots can't drive in the daytime. It'll be dark and they're half asleep trying to go to work. It's going to make it worse. But yeah, it's fall time here in Tennessee. Our weather here this year was really dry. We had more of a kind of a drought situation. We haven't had a lot of really nice, I guess you'd say, fall colors in the southern part here where I'm at. Generally, I've got two huge old maples in my front yard. I mean, they're huge. They're probably 75 years old or better. And generally about this time, they're, a golden yellow. In front yards, golden yellow. And now there's not a leaf in the trees. They just were so dry. They died off this year, and it's been windy for 2 or 3 days. And a big oak in the back is about out of leaves now, and they're all in my driveway. Come home from work yesterday, and my driveway was covered in oak leaves. But we went up to my daughter's this last Saturday. She'll be having our first grandchild here pretty soon, within probably the next week or so at the most. And they live up in Middle Tennessee, up on what we call the plateau. And it's about 10, sometimes 15 degrees cooler up there than it is here. But their weather's always a little bit better up there. And they've really had some nice fall colors up there in the Cookville, and going up through the back way up through the plateau was really a pretty drive this last weekend. So if you're in the fall region, I hope you're having a really beautiful fall, especially Chris, you're probably having a really nice one up in New York, aren't you?
Oh yeah. It's all the colors are out. They're in full bloom, and it's really, really pretty.
That's good. We've always wanted to go up New England, Vermont, and up through that in middle New York. I got a friend of mine that was born and raised in Catskills. And
Very nice.
he moved down here in the 80s to go to college, met a woman, and stayed. So I never could get understanding. We go to Shoney's for breakfast, and he would get fruit when there was all you can eat biscuits and gravy and bacon and sausage and eggs and, and pancakes and syrup, and you're eating grapes and oranges. I said, you've got to get that New York out of you, boy. You've been down here way too long.
It's not all New Yorkers, my friend.
I know. I just pick on John. That's just how he was. I think plus he was diabetic, so a lot of that had to do with that.
Well,
but
yeah,
I enjoyed picking on him and everything. Okay, tonight before we get started, I want to something I wanted to cover last week, but I didn't have all my information together because, like I said, I've got a friend of mine who is first language is Hebrew. He was born and raised just outside of Jerusalem, and he lives here in New Jersey. And I had some questions on some Hebrew words that I wanted him to kind of give me some more in depth, and he wasn't able to get them to me in time last week, but he did this week. So I'm going to fall back for just a few minutes and share this because when I was going through this and looking at it, and I just think it'd be something interesting. So you might want to just jot this down if you want to, if you have pens and papers there to jot this down. If you don't, go back and watch. If you can watch this, it's better because what I've done is I took some pictures. We're going to be looking at, again, Psalms 16:11. Make known to me the path of life. And I wanted to get into that last week, but like I said, I didn't have all my information that I wanted. And I'm going to be showing, I've got an interlineal Tehillim, interlineal Psalms, which is Hebrew and English. You'll see when I pull the pictures up that I want to show you this. So some fascinating information, just nice information to have, give you something to meditate and to ponder on, and maybe even to pray about. But when you see this, I think you'll find it fairly interesting. Scotty, I'm going to try to see if I can share this right now. Hopefully this will work. We tested this last night. All righty. Let me move our boxes. Can I do that? Yeah. There we go. Can everyone see that okay? Okay, because I've just got everybody's in little bitty boxes. This is going to cover it up. Let me move you to the other side here. I'm moving everybody over here to the right. There we go.
Terry, you can minimize those boxes. There's a little flat line above the pictures.
And I'll be able to, hold on here. Little flat line. Just thumbnail size it.
Yeah, it's right above the pictures. It's their self.
Okay. I did that. Okay. See, Scotty's the engineer. That's why he is Scotty. All righty. Now I can't see anyone, so I'm hoping everyone can see this. That's actually getting to see the video here. What we have here is this passage in Psalm 16:11. You will make known to me the path of life. Right here, those that can see this, and those that are on the radio that aren't able to see this, you can go to our YouTube after we're off tonight. It'll be downloaded automatically on our YouTube channel, and you should be able to see it there. But right here it says, you will make known to me the path. Right here, the path. This word here in the middle is in Hebrew is orach. Orach, the path. Now, to be honest with you, I wasn't that familiar with that word. I'm familiar with the word path as in derech, which we're going to look at here in just a second. There's one of the historical and holy books of Israel is called Derech Hashem, or the way of God, the path of God. So Orach was a new one for me because I really hadn't got into the Hebrew of some of the Psalms. And so I'd messaged my Jewish friend and I said, can you explain this word as it is said here is translated the path versus derech? And so now I'm going to go over here and show you Psalms 1 verse 1. Praiseworthy is the man who did not walk in the counsel of the wicked, and in the path of the sinful did not stand. So we have here where he says, in the path, for those who can see that on the bottom right of the picture, that is in Hebrew, it's uvaderach. Let me give me some drink of water here. Uvaderach. And so the last three letters, I don't know if you can see my cursor. Scotty, can you see my cursor? Just tell me yes or no. Do you not listen? Because I can't see anybody.
Yes.
Okay.
It just takes me more buttons to get over to you, but yes.
Gotcha. I just want okay. If you see my cursor, these last three letters right here is Derek. Of course, that's an endocuff. It takes, there's 5 letters that in Hebrew that it changes shape at the end of the word, and the cuff is one of them. So this is Derek. Now this is path. The vav in the front and the base in the second letter, the vav is and the base is in the path. Derek. Now I'm going to start here. I'm going to kind of go backwards. Now Derek here means a direction in sense of having a direction. So let me share this with you and read this to you the way by understanding is in direction or path, like a path that goes through the wood. So we hear it says, praiseworthy is man who did not walk in the counsel of the wicked or in the direction of the sinful. In the direction, like a path going through the woods, like, we've all gone hiking. We follow a path or a path along beside the lake. That's what this is. This is like a pathway. So you're not walking, in the direction. You're not going in a path toward the sinful life, nor do you not stand. So this is path, meaning direction, like a pathway going through the woods. Now this path, back at 16:11 here, you will make known to me the path of life. This word means a clear direction in the way of a sense of method, the way you do something. So here we have King David saying, you will make known to me the methods and how you live life. The method. It's not necessarily a path like a path in the woods. This is a path is you've laid out like a goal and you have these plans, these actions that you're going to perform to reach that goal. So here we have the King David said, you're going to make known to me the method of life. And that is so important for us as we are learning these commandments that the Creator has given all mankind, because these 7 categorical, ethical, and moral instructions from the Creator is that method to life. See, they're not a burden, but they're the method of life. They're also a pathway. When you're observing them and living them, it's a pathway away from the sinful instead of a pathway to the sinful, like you read in verse 1. Now I'm going to try to get back here to. There we go. I can see everybody now. Sorry, that was weird. I hadn't done that one before. Is there any questions or anything there, Scotty, in what we're talking about? So in 1611, we are seeing that God is going to make known the method of life. And in Psalms 1, we see that praiseworthy is the person who doesn't go in the direction of the sinful, like following a path to it.
So that was the what I just wanted you to reiterate the clarification. One is a path, and which is already kind of beat down the brush. It's a path, and the other one is a method
of how you
coming
do
up
something.
to the correct answers.
Right. You know,
Okay.
like in, I guess you can say like in your at work where you have procedures in how you do something. And that might be another word you could substitute there, that you may make known to me the procedures of life.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point on those texts there.
Any questions or comments on there before we get into the book? Alrighty. If you do have any questions or comments, just let Scotty know and Ronald know. Ronald disappeared. I see his yellow bike.
I'm still here.
I know you're still there. All righty. Page 35, second paragraph. It says a person whose thoughts, feelings, and actions are all directed toward one matter is fully focused on it. He is completely into it. And in that context, he is identified as a person who is complete. And it says shalem in Hebrew. But one whose mind is on one matter, while his heart and emotions are dwelling on one or more other things, then his actions are involved in other matters, is therefore disorganized and not complete. And we've all been there. We know we've all been at work trying to do our job. Maybe something's not going well in life, and you're worrying about something. You got something going on, and maybe not even that. Maybe you've got your vacation planned, and you're ready to go, and you're at work, and your mind, is in the destination of where you're wanting to be. I experienced that when I was a young man. I worked with my dad for a long time, and I was working for my dad at the time. I was dating my wife, and my dad said he hated when she'd come up for the weekend because that Friday I was worthless. He said, you just might as well not even get out of bed. She's going to be there that afternoon. He said, you were just worthless. I'd be at work. I didn't have my mind on my work, so I wasn't complete. I was very disorganized. I was just a young 20-year-old guy, his future wife was headed into town, and the last thing I wanted to do, my dad worked like Scotty done. We managed and maintenance property, and the last thing I wanted to be doing would be pulling a toilet up out of the floor, putting a wax ring on my wife. Future wife was about to come to town. So that's kind of easy to understand there. So we become disorganized and we're not complete when our heart and our mind is somewhere else instead of being focused. As explained above, a person's completeness can be drawn to the positive or to the negative according to his choice. A person can place himself into something that is only incidental or even into something evil, and yet by definition, he is complete because he has positioned himself entirely into the mundane thing he is involved in. It is as if he and this natural inclination have combined to become one entity. Again, you become just single-minded and single-focused, whether it's good or bad. An example can be brought of a doctor whose mind is constantly involved with medicine and health, and his heart is inspired with the emotions to care for his own health and the health of others. And he is constantly reminding himself and others to be involved in healthy matters and to avoid unhealthy things. Regarding such a person, it can be said that he is Mr. Health, meaning that all his endeavors and constant interests are with the bodily health, to the point that if one asked, who is this man and what is he involved with, he would be answered, this is Mr. Health. If one would stop this doctor in the middle of his thoughts and ask what he was currently thinking about, undoubtedly he would answer, I am thinking about health and how I am involved with that. It is likewise regarding a harmful evildoer whose thoughts are only evil all day. He meditates on how to damage others by some means, and his heart is filled with the wicked emotions. He thinks about how to distress and plague others with great damage in the short or the long term. His actions are directed toward his evil emotions. If other people who know this about him were to ask who he is, they would just respond that this is a wicked evildoer. And we may know some people that are like that are just never up to any good. Consequently, the doctor is completely focused on the matter to further health. The evildoer is completely focused on his wickedness in his effort to do further damage to others. But for both of them, their personal completion is reached through uniting themselves and their faculties with one thing that they aspire for, where they are involved in, and they are involved in it day and night. By contrast, a person can have thoughts that are partly on one matter and partly on another, and he has not set his heart to feel one thing in particular. Rather, he has weak emotions about one thing at one time and about another thing at another time. And there are times when he does not have his full heart in what he is doing. Sometimes his actions follow one thought or feelings and sometimes another. There are times when there is no connection between his actions and his heart, and he has no prominent feelings that compel him toward the thing he is doing. If one would ask, who is this person and what are their endeavors? He would surely be answered, this man is confused. His character and his goals are not known. Such a person is not called complete, but rather mixed up, because he is only involved with disconnected and superficial thoughts and actions. I mean, it's kind of like, I've known people at work and in life that will start 100 projects and finish none. And that's a confused person. They started, they got their goal and intention may have been well, but their mind drifts over to something else, and they don't finish this, they start something else. And then it's a cycle. They're always starting something, but never finishing anything. A righteous, complete person unifies his thoughts and his views to think about God and comprehend his existence, and he will always be aware of God, as King David declared, I have placed God before me constantly, which we covered that about a week ago. Hold on, Scotty. It looks like somebody's wanting to come in. There we go. Just caught it out of my corner of my eye. All righty. So, it says he should strengthen the direction of his thoughts toward God until he conquered the feelings of his heart, and that he should compel to follow the direction of his intellect. This unification of his intellect and emotions will bring him to a thirst for God and yearning to come close to him. Therefore, from fear of being separated of God, he will restrict his speech and his actions to benefit this yearning. In this mode of service, he will be focused all day on God, no matter what the mundane activity he needs to be involved in, without of necessity of any given time. He will also be looking out for the opportunity and the actions that will draw him closer to God, such as deeds of goodness and kindness and praises of God will be quick to come from his lips in full sincerity. At this same time, he will distance himself as something that is truly evil in his own eyes, from doing, speaking, and thinking anything that is against God's will, or that will be determined that will be detrimental to his closeness to God. This is the way of a person who is complete in his piety. And maybe you know someone like that. I used to work with a young man at the time. He was about 28 years old. He was a young pastor of a little Baptist church over in North Georgia mountains. And I always admired him because he was one of the few men that had a lot of personal strength to guard himself, especially at a young age and everything. So we've all probably met that kind of person that seems to have things together and is able to control themselves and to guide themselves, even no matter what they're doing. They're always doing their job, but also on the other side of it, they're able to maintain their walk with God and not allowing the environment around them to affect themselves. And that's a hard, to me, that's one of the hard things to get to, and a worthy, goal is to learn to be able to reduce the amount of our environment and how much it affects us, and allows, because as we allow it to affect us, it takes us away from our piety. And, when I was talking to you a few weeks ago, when I was talking about anger is one of those things that'll do that. It'll take you away from where you really want to be into a place that you really don't want to be, because it's not a very good place. When a person becomes upright and complete in his way, and his heart's desire is only to be close to God, his attitudes will align with this. He will acknowledge that this is the ultimate good for him, and he will not be embarrassed or affected by the people who ridicule and scoff at him for choosing the pious ways. In spite of them, he will do the things that he knows that are consistent with God's truth, and without fears and doubts. And see, especially in today's age and time, it is so hard. I mean, sometimes to like, especially being out in the workplace and out in the public places, and being, trying to hold a pious type of life at all. And there's so many around you who just obviously has chose not that. Some people are blessed that they do work around people and live around people who, even though your beliefs may not be exactly the same, but your morals and your values, are lined up. Today, with the decline of morality and ethics in our land, even those of us who may be of different faith but hold similar morals, it's kind of, it gets you heart-wrenching. It can also make you angry sometimes when you see what's being gotten away with, that morally and ethically 25, 30 years ago, those things wouldn't have been let happen, not in public. In this way, once the patriarch Abraham discovered the truth of the one God and connected to it, he was not affected by anything else in the world. As it says, Abraham was one, which is a really good, interesting teaching. And when we get into the study of Genesis, when we finish this book, when we get to there's some really highlight areas, and this is like one of them where it talks where Abraham was one and what that really means. But here it says, this means that even though he was distinct from the rest of all humanity in his monotheistic faith, and many people, great and small, argued against him and mocked him, he steadily continued with the mission he had set for himself. Since he knew that this path was the truth, this is the ultimate level of one who is completely sincere in his heart, in his actions, in all matters. Therefore, it is said about Abraham, and he trusted in God, and he reckoned it to him as righteousness, and you found his heart faithful before you. Now, understand, when you get into Hebrew, just like we were sharing at the beginning of the class, English is one of the worst languages to translate from the Hebrew, because there's so much. Showed you two words tonight, both translated as path. And if I hadn't showed you the two differences in those meanings, you would not have seen the direction those two passages take you, but just reading the English word path. So this is the same thing here. It says, and he trusted and if I remember right, the Hebrew word there is emunah. It's emunah. It's translated as faith, and his faith was counted to him as righteous. By understanding what trust and faith is in the English, you really cannot know what Abraham was actually counted to his righteousness. Because emunah is one of those words that's translated as faith, but it does not mean faith as it does in English, and especially the Western religious use of the word faith. And so that'll be another area of learning. It's going to be really fun to learn when we get into the Hebrew behind some of these for very, very familiar passages that have been mistaken and misunderstood because they were understood through translation. Kind of like what I said, Spock said in Star Trek Discovery, the young Spock said to his sister, who was human, and she was trying to explain that she understood Vulcan, and he had to let her know that translation wasn't the essence of understanding. When I heard that, I got that written down in my little notebook where I write quotes down out here. Translation is not the essence of understanding, and I hope you're beginning to see that in our classes when we delve into the Hebrew. Scotty, anything? Any questions or anything? Comments? Okay. Where are we at here? What time is it? Let's see if we might get this done tonight. I know tonight's is not as impacted as it was last week when we were covering the different Psalms. But when we get into this next gate, I think we're going to have a good time in learning there on the subject of God and prophecy with man and what all that means, and prophecy of Moses and things. That's going to be really interesting study. Top of page 38 says, once an upright person succeeds in becoming complete in all his actions and his continuous yearning for God, he will be truly ready to have a self-sacrifice for God. For he understands that anyone's personal pursuits are not the main thing, and that the whole purpose of the existence and the importance of mankind is in his understanding God to the maximum of one's capacity. And again, that's one thing I love about the Jewish sages and what they're talking about. We're not talking about, when we're talking about when someone's righteous, we're not talking about them being perfect. And the Torah sages is always teaching to understand and to know God to the best of one's capacity. Because, see, everybody's mind is different. Some is very intellectual. Some is more spiritual. Some maybe not be able to grasp certain principles and things like, and that's fine. God does, one of the beautiful tales, a true tale. And we may have spoke about this in the past, and I know Veronica's brought this up too. In this issue of understanding and serving God with the best of your capacity of what you can do. There's a tale about two rabbis that were traveling through Europe. This is back in like the 1700s, early 1800s, and they stayed at the inn that was owned by another Jewish man. On their travels, they stayed there, and they kept asking the gentleman to join them. And those of you who don't understand the Jewish way of life and their prayers and the things, it's communal. Jewish prayer is communal because they are brothers and sisters, aunts and cousins. They're not individuals. They are a family. They're a tribe. So the way things are done is a lot different than what we go through, and has a lot deeper meaning. But they kept asking the inn persons after he would serve them their meals. He said, "We'll come and join in with us with the after dinner prayers, or join in with them with the Maariv prayers, the prayers for the nighttime prayers, or the Mincha, the afternoon prayers." And in the morning, they do same thing at breakfast and stuff. They go out and do what's called Shachrit, the morning prayers. And they were always asking, "Come join us, come join us." And he would never do it. And he would serve them their meals, and then he would leave. He would disappear every day. He would disappear. So one day they decided they were going to follow him, see what he was doing. And so in the morning, after he fed them their breakfast, served them their breakfast, and he went out into the woods, they followed him, and they stayed a little way past so he couldn't see him. And they saw him out in the fields, and he had his hands raised, and all he was doing was repeating the alphabet, the Hebrew alphabet, the Aleph, base. He was just going through the whole alphabet from Aleph to Tav through the alphabet, just saying it. And then he would go back. And so one of the rabbis asked him, says, what were you praying? And he told him, he says, I don't have the eloquently of speech. I don't know how to talk to God. So all I know is to offer God the alphabet, and he arranged the words because he knew what the words were in my heart that I didn't know how to say, but he could arrange them with the letters. That was his capacity. He was simple. And so we must not put down or look down on anyone who serves, the Creator and praise the Creator and serves him in such simple ways that maybe they don't even know how to pray, and all they do is pray the alphabet. And we don't know how impactful that is for that person because that's their capacity. And someone else's capacity, they may have the mind of a Harvard professor that's brilliant and can think, or a scientist and has all this knowledge and capability. Maybe they're like a statesman who can speak. That is their capacity. So our Creator accepts us at our capacity, and we are to use whatever capacity we have in reaching out and drawing our closeness to the Creator in the best abilities that we have. It says, therefore he will devote his whole self to God and all of his faculties. He will strongly and constantly desire to rise up to God on a level of godliness which he cannot comprehend in his intellect and emotions, and before which he stands in a mode of selfless surrender to God. The ultimate example of this was Abraham, the patriarch, who invested his soul in the mission to publicize the truth that God is one. When he discovered this truth, he started to call out to all the populace to leave their idols and the vanities and break their statues. He proved to them with clear and conscious proofs that their idols were not and had no power. And when Nimrod, the wicked king of Babylon, heard about this, he wanted to silence Abraham. So he seized him and threatened to throw him in a fiery furnace if he would not acknowledge the idolatry and bow down to it. Abraham immediately chose the furnace, but a miracle occurred and he was saved. Abraham, however, did not expect this. He did not have regard for his life if it would mean agreeing to lie and to deny the truth for which mankind was created. Abraham recognized to himself, what is the point of lying and saving my life in order to live a life of falsehood, while accepting the falsehood of idolatry? I would be like a broken machine and a soulless walking corpse. If so, my life would be no less than death. It is better for me to die as means of public sacrifice or sanctity, sanctifying God's name in the world, which that is, the word just left me, Hebrew word just left me. It'll come back to me here in a minute. To sanctifying God's name, which has been my lifelong mission, rather than to abandon the truth just to save a physical life of my body. In light of this, one may ask, why are Gentiles not obligated to self-sacrifice for God, which we are not? The Jews have several commandments that they are commanded. They are not permitted to break under duress. They must give up their life. We do not have that. We do not have the commandment to do that. And if one forced you into like idolatry, and your intentions are not there, your intentions are not there, you're not held accountable for that, because we are not commanded to give up our lives. That's what this is saying here. Then why are Gentiles not obligated to self-sacrifice for God? It said, it is true that God did not command this as an obligation in our code, what we call the Noahide Code. Nevertheless, if a pious Gentile is complete with the one God in his understanding and emotions, and he has dedicated his actions to be for this end alone, then ultimately he will not be able to separate from God in a major or minor way, since that would go against him in all his will and understanding. He knows that he would be ready to surrender his soul to die for God, and he would consider it to be a kindness and honor if he would be faced with the choice of, God forbid, to either be killed or forced to submit to a lie of denying God. For everything in comparison is upholding God's truth and self-pleasure and insignificant. Having the commitment to surrender one's life for God does not apply only to a choice to stand by one's faith in God or be killed, God forbid. Rather, it is a constant strength of conviction in the consciousness of a pious person and a firm decision in his heart not to be separated from the eternal God who is in the true life of everything. Therefore, a commitment to self-sacrifice in the way of pious person lives. It says, therefore, a commitment to self-sacrifice is the way of a pious person lives. Down in the footnote here at 78, it says, it is easy to see how this holds the key to always being able to overcome a temptation to sin. For if a person knows that he is ready to suffer the severe pain of death so as not to deny God, he would be much more ready and able to suffer a much smaller discomfort, namely giving up a temporary temptation from his evil inclination to transgress against one of the 7 commandments. For living by those commandments is a necessity for the Gentile, for the non-Jew, to be able to fully connect on a personal level with God, and conversely, transgression in any of those commandments will separate the person from God until he repents and makes restitution. So our closeness, like we talked about here a couple of weeks ago, is in the observance. Some want to say they have this closeness with God in their prayers and their worship, and you can, but the ultimate closest is when the Creator's asked us to do something, we do that. That brings us to our closest with him. He dedicates to God every moment of his life and every breath he takes, looking in for opportunities to connect with God and to use his God-given abilities in his service. This is the special greatness in God's eyes of the pious Gentile who is complete with him in all ways, because that's what we've been discussing about being complete or disorganized in our service with God. So we end this chapter with a quote from the traditional Jewish morning liturgy that precedes the verse of the Shema, Hear, O Israel. It says, let's see, Our Father, merciful Father, who is compassionate, have mercy on us. Grant us our heart's understanding to comprehend and to discern, to perceive and to learn and to teach, to observe, to practice and to fulfill all the teachings of your Torah with love. Enlightening our eyes in your Torah, cause our hearts to cleave to your commandments and to unite our hearts to love and to fear your name. And may we never be put to shame, disgrace, or stumble because we trust in your holy name, great and awesome name. May we rejoice and exalt in your salvation. Lord our God, may your mercy and your abounding kindness never, never forsake us. That brings us to that end. Next week, Shem willing, on page 41, we'll start the gate of the prophecy of God, the centrality of prophecy and the foundation of faith, and the concept of free choice. we're going to be getting into in the next chapter. All right, Sky, I know I kind of read through that. I really wanted to finish that chapter because we've kind of been dragging that one out for about a month, that chapter.
I think it was good. I think some of the people were talking about the two different paths. They never realized that was two different things. And so that was a real good clarification there on that.
Yeah, because I felt it was important to understand that, because as we studied the 7 laws of Noah, we see that they are a method of life, or actually they're the method of life for us. And in doing so, we're not following the path of the path to the sinful. Now, does that mean that you do not sin? No, we sin, but that doesn't mean you're going down the path in that direction. We all make mistakes, and the Creator knows that. That's why He gives us repentance.
Yeah.
When we talk about sinners, that's the reason why I told you months ago, one of the worst things these people, you hear these people singing, I'm a sinner saved by grace. When you say you are a sinner, you are a person who is in the path to sin. So you're not a sinner. When you make repentance and you're walking with the God, yes, you may slip, you may sin, but you're not in the path to sin. A sinner is in the path to sin. That's why they have to have grace all the time, because they're going in the wrong direction all the time. That's what you're stating. I'm going that way. I am a sinner. When you confess that, do not confess that, because you're not. Once you make repentance and you turn your life, you're going in the other direction. You're no longer in the path to the sinner. And what we've been learning is that we're not walking this path with God just haphazardly, that there's actually a method to life. And that method is found for us within the 7 categorical laws of Noah. And that makes things a lot, for me, when I really understood what I was getting there, when I got the understanding of Orach as the path, that He will show us the method to life. And that's what He's doing as we study.
Now, Angela put and she's got her hand up too, but she put a question over there in the chat, if you can read that. And I'm going to go ahead and tell Angela to come on in there. She's got got her hand up. So you know what she's talking about?
Hold on here. It says, Rabbi Nachman teaches this wisdom.
Go down to the next one.
Okay. I thought they must sacrifice. Yes, but allowed to save a life supersedes halakha. We are allowed to save a life. Yes, that's halakha. Actually, it's a little bit of a different situation when we're talking about self-sacrifice. Like I said, we're not obligated to go that far. Some people may not be able to go that far to say, but they know that if they're forced into something that you're not supposed to, being forced into that, the way the laws are, you understand, these are the laws of God.
There we go. Sorry, guys. I'm here.
Go ahead, Angela.
I'm on my phone because I can't get my Zoom on my computer until tomorrow. I'm getting a new internet connection here in beautiful rural Tennessee. But anyway, so nice to see you, Terry.
You spoke so much time.
It has a lifetime ago for me. But when you were talking about sacrifice, I think it's really interesting because how we were brought up, at least for me as a preacher's kid, of course, there's still this nagging, underlining thing inside of me that's like, if I'm not sacrificing for the world and somebody else in lieu of myself, that I'm not pleasing God or Hashem. And, I know that is so embedded in Christian ideology, but you don't realize how much it's in the very making of who you are when you've been brought up in that. And I've been, for years anyway, I love Rabbi Nachman, and I have a little daily thing I read every day. It's funny because, I realize that Hashem didn't call that of us. Like, we sacrifice in regards to following our halakha is no kites, or if you're converting or whatever. But the one thing that I know that even Jews on Sabbath, they'll break Sabbath for life if it means to save a life.
Right.
Okay, so we're not actually, have to lay down our life and lay down who we are and be something that God didn't call us to be. Like, if it means preserving our own life as well, like, we forget it's not just about everybody else. We also have to take care of ourselves sometimes. So it's both. And that encompasses a whole volume of learning of what that quote life means. So especially with everything we're faced with in Israel right now, I talk to my friends over there daily. They were during their Sabbath, their Shabbos, the ones that are observant. Anyway, I mean, they would have broke Shabbos to save lives if they know.
Right.
So how do you balance that when we come out of something so strong? I think with what you were saying, which I agree, I'm like, yeah, you're totally right. But that process is really hard. It's hard. We're taught to die for the world, and who cares about ourselves, right? So that's all.
Yeah, like I said, that's a little bit different in this direction where we're talking about the self-sacrifice on that. See, we're not, like I said, we're not obligated to do that as Gentiles, but on the other hand, we need to look. We've got some examples in the Torah, or actually in the Hebrew scriptures in the book of Kings, by a man of Naaman who was an idolater, and he came to the truth of the knowledge of the Creator and said he would not worship any other God but the God of Israel, the God of Jacob. But at the end of it, he talked to Elisha and he says, now, you know that I've got to go with my master. He served the general, and going to have to go into the temple, and I'm going to have to, the general's going to have to lean on me, and I'm going to have to bow. But, please let Hashem know that I am not worshiping. And so what was the prophet's instruction? To go in peace.
Uh-huh.
And
all right, so how is that though, Terry? And now when you look at something as that an example, but then you see other examples in the Torah or the Tanakh, all right, where look at simple. I mean, Daniel Lion's Den. We all learned that in Sunday school. But I mean, he didn't go in peace. He didn't bow. So, I mean, where do we draw that line to preserve life and yet not fall into that sin of idolatry, I think, is what I'm trying to say.
Where we draw the line on that, again, we have to understand who that is talking about. It's talking about the Jewish people who is not permitted. They can actually be put to death according to Torah for idolatry. So they have no choice. There are several commandments for the Jews that if they violate them willingly, they can be put to death for that. And actually, one particular commandment, they can actually be disconnected from, their soul can be disconnected from Israel, and their body can be disconnected from life. So their situation is a whole lot different. Ours is not as complicated as that. We're not, again, though we're not commanded, no, we're not obligated. That doesn't mean that if you are a person of strong character, strong stature within yourself, that you can, give up yourself for that. I'm not going to do that. I'll die first, which most people that once they connect with God, a lot will get in that, at least feel that.
Sure.
Maybe they got the gun to their head, but, that's going to be on an individual basis with the Creator when it comes to us. But when it comes to Israel, it's a total different story.
Well, but as Noachites, we're not allowed to have idolatry either. I thought that was one, that's what separates, even as a B'nai Noah.
Yeah, we are not. Yeah, our idolatry is actually specific. There's like 4 specific things of bowing, giving libations, doing any kind of worship of a deity, which we've covered that in the past. There's specific. There's specific things for us, and it's only one commandment. When it's a lot of things, like I said, it's not complicated for us. The Creator, because our goal, as we've talked about in the past, our goal is, and mission in life is to settle the earth and to settle and make ethical and moral societies. And and stuff like that. And as far as right now, the courts and stuff to be able to uphold the capital issue of our laws is not even an issue right now, because the sages have stated that the majority of the nation that doesn't observe God's commandments as far as the 7 laws, and or have made laws that that permits breaking them, they are not permitted to rule in court of capital punishment in the violation of the Noahide laws. So we are not in that area right now. Our main thing is we're learning to live and learn the method of life that I was talking about in the first of class, where we're learning the method to that path, that method to life that God is revealing to us and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Scott,
I understand.
anything else?
No, that's about it, Terry. So I mean, we've covered quite a bit. So there's no questions online. They've got a lot of people, talking, but they're enjoying the class tonight. So.
Okay, I knew it was going to be a little bit hurried and a little bit not, a little more drier than what we've been covering the last few weeks. But we've taken about three to 4 weeks to get through the last few pages of that chapter. But I'm not complaining if you're not complaining.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, Terry, I'm gonna bring us down to a close. We've been for about an hour and 7 minutes, and I'm having something going on with my internet connection. I'm kind of jumping in and out, and I'm wondering, having to check it out here in a minute. So that's where I was there for a few minutes, but I think it came through on the Facebook pages and the YouTube channel.
Yes,
okay.
It did.
Okay. All right. Well, Terry, I'm going to bring us to a close. It's so good to have everybody. And the Georgia group did text us. They got 40 texts, no, not text us, but texted us. And they've got 42 there tonight. And I haven't heard from the coffee shop group, but we've got plenty of others listening. We want to thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us tonight, Terry. Thank you for the teaching. And we will look forward to seeing everybody next week. And I'm going to say it because somebody on the radio station said who we listen to. Broadcasting from the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee, you're listening to Power Faith Radio. So it's getting cold here, and I'm losing. I've got some hauls ready to go. I've got some stuff ready to go, so I can keep going. So
I've been battling all day. My mouth feel like I've got a wad of cotton balls in my mouth. I've been here trying to talk to customers and service techs all day today, and I don't think I've gone through 4 or 5 glasses of water just all day.
All right. All right. Well, everybody, we're going to come to a closure, and we shall see you next week. So long.
See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.